Hello everybody and welcome back to another tier list video. This is an interesting one here. We're doing the original books from each of the Image founders. Which
The
is mostly
bedrock on which Image was built upon.
well, Bedrock is actually only one character, Katie. Not all of them. But mostly these are the launch titles, with the exception of Wetworks that came out much later. And I think Pit might have also been a launch book, but it wasn't a founder book, so that's not here.
So that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. But it's the 7 founders, each of their first books. That was what we did. That's what we've done. We usually do 6 tiers, but we decided to do 7 tiers this time, so we could give you a comprehensive, direct ranking of where each of these fall into the pecking order. Do you want to go through the tiers for the people, Katie?
Yeah, so at the top here, whoever gets their book in the top slot gets named Mr. Image. Clearly they knew what they were doing going over to Image. The next down is going to be Mainstream Darling. Beneath that is going to be Worth the Risk. Beneath that is Hire a Writer. Beneath that is Go Back to Marvel. Under that is Leave It in the 90s. And our bottom tier is called Youngblood.
Not for any particular reason.
But speaking of Youngblood, for not any particular reason, Jay, Youngblood is up first.
Yes, Rob Liefeld is the creator of this book. Did he have? I know a couple of them had. He had a dialogue writer, Hank Canales. Which I will say, I think Youngblood is the poorest written of these books.
Yep.
I think character-wise, it's not the poorest written. I think, at least in the one half of the flip book, it actually has better character moments than a lot of the other Image books.
I do think it had a real problem with kind of canned or cringy dialogue.
That's fair.
There were a lot of kind of little quips in there that almost felt like proto-Whedon. Yeah. And I was like, wow.
I feel that. But the one thing I was not, this is also a flip book, I feel, importantly. Yeah. I mean, Katie actually both made the issue of only reading one half before having to then read the other half. The one half, I think, is awful. The more
action-packed half.
It opens on, and this is the thing that a lot of the Image books do that I do not like. The, tons of exposition in the news head things. Mm-hmm. It's one of my least favorite things about the early Image books. I hate that form of storytelling. I think it's awful. And it opens on that. And then we just get big action where you can't follow any of the characters. You don't care about anything that's going on. And Rob Liefeld, while I do enjoy his art at times, Youngblood is not one of my favorite things that he's done art-wise. And I don't think that the art in this half is good enough to justify all of the action. On the other half of the flip book, I think it has a few cool character moves. I do like us. What's the archer's name? Shaft, right?
Shaft.
Yeah. I do like Shaft's introduction of being with his girlfriend and then he's a burglar and I'm going to use a pen to stop him. That is a good opening to a book, I feel like. I think the Bedrock with his mother thing is a fun little he's
a fun little half a page thing.
So I feel like there's a couple good character moments, which I want to call out because I actually think that's one of the things that a lot of the Image books struggle with. And Rob Liefeld being the guy who gave us those moments was not my expectation going into this.
I think one of the funky things for me is they went with that flip book style, but I feel like it would have been so much stronger if it just started with the back half, because then you would get all of the legwork you need.
I think it did. I think for whatever reason where we read it, had it essentially backwards, because the second bit has what is usually considered the actual cover of Youngblood #1. So I think we just read it inverted too. But as a flip book, it should be able to be read either way.
It should be either way. And as a flip book, you aren't controlling which way is read first. Even if there's now 20, 40, 30 years later.
30,
something like
that. You took a few tries to get there.
I took a few tries, and that's all right. Even if there's an accepted kind of front cover.
Yeah.
That's not, how it was produced. And I think that if we got the chance to get to know these characters first, even to just put names to costumes, which I think is something that this book has going for it as well, kind of like what you're saying with a lot of the other books, struggling with characterization. I think a lot of the other books, a lot of the characters are kind of dressed the same and kind of look the same. Whereas
Yeah,
in
this is
Youngblood,
maybe
at
one of the most.
least they have like pretty distinct looks, so you can keep track of them really easily in a first issue.
Yeah, what I will say is, I don't believe it's actually the same characters in both halves, so I don't know that would have helped.
Well, yeah, Shaft is in both halves.
Shaft isn't in both halves, Katie.
Is it just that there's another man with red hair?
I'm looking in the half now. I don't even see a man with red hair. There's another dude with a somewhat similar costume to Shaft, and he has like a white tuft at the top. But yeah, because I believe the story is also called Youngblood Away Team. So I think it's like their Titans East, essentially. Or Titans West, whatever it is.
Funky.
Yeah, so I don't know that would have actually helped as much as
proving the point now that I was like, yeah, Shaft is in both halves.
Yeah, no, that's why when you were like, I thought they actually were. I was about to say, like, I thought Youngblood was actually one of the biggest culprits of same-looking characters.
And I guess that kind of proves the point that they were so same. Oh, because then there's also, I think the one that I was thinking of wasn't the guy with the red tuft. There's a guy with red hair and a red costume. He's like Fireside or something.
Yeah.
And I think I had conflated him with Shaft.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that first half, those characters were so generic in that one. And like, that's the thing. I think we're going to put Youngblood in Youngblood pretty obviously. But my point is, I think half of the book is actually unreadable. I think half of the book is highly flawed, but maybe some cool stuff. But I think half of the book is basically unreadable, which is unfortunate.
Like, there's so much coming at you in that first half. And there's so many characters who are clearly have a lot going on, but I didn't feel privy to any of it. Like, I don't know if it was supposed to be little, like, teasers or something, but I didn't feel teased. I felt out of the loop and annoyed.
I also find it wild that it feels like all the Image founders somehow agreed this was, like, the strongest book, because one, they launched with it, and two, every other book mentions Youngblood like this, like, super important, like, it's Youngblood. Everybody, Youngblood. Go read Youngblood is our, like, cornerstone of our universe.
I can only imagine, because I was thinking about that as I was seeing Youngblood popping up. I can only imagine that Rob Liefeld had pitched, like, oh yeah, Youngblood will be kind of like our Justice League. Like, kind of the big
Marvel, public. I'm sure it was X-Men that he used.
I mean, like, in universe. Like, these are the...
No, I was just saying none of these guys were going to use DC references to each other.
Oh, fair. Like, this is like our kind of in the public eye.
Yeah.
Big team.
Yeah. No, I was just making a joke because I know that these are all Marvel dudes.
All Marvel boys.
But yeah, I think Youngblood actually was at one point. I think a bunch of the Youngblood characters were actually a Teen Titans pitch, if I'm not mistaken, according to Rob Liefeld.
Funky.
Anyway,
I'm glad that it didn't go through.
Let's get to what's probably the most successful of the Image founding books. I feel like is a fair statement. Todd McFarlane's Spawn is up next. I'm gonna let you start this one because I did reread the first issue for this, but I have read more than the first issue in terms of the first arc. So I'll let you.
We've actually both read. It was a specific Spawn series that.
What are we reading?
Oh, what was it called?
I've read a few different Spawn universe things.
In any case,
so
I've touched the Spawn universe.
Yes.
But not very often. I've also seen the pilot of the cartoon a couple times, so I did come in curious, like, oh, should I expect it to look similar to that? And it actually did look very similar to that. Like, it was a very similar shape, which I'm not super surprised about because I think Todd McFarlane had a really strong hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think the TV show is literally called Todd McFarlane Spawn, and he appears at the end of every episode.
He appears at the very start of
the very start of every episode. Yeah. My mistake.
With a real dramatic monologue that, honestly, I live for. It's so funny to me. But yeah, so this is super iconic. There's so many little bits of this that I feel like even though I had not, you know, engaged much with Spawn,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, these are like the big visuals. And I think that's something that I really liked about this book is it has a lot of really strong visuals. Like
Yeah.
Spawn is such a great design for a character.
Yes. I think he's easily the best designed of the
Oh yeah.
books here. He is such a good design.
And he's so designed for the type of, like, it makes sense for the type of art that Todd McFarlane is best at.
Yes.
Like, you know, big billowing capes, the flying chains, the like really dramatic mask. It all is so visually striking that I 100% understand this being like one of the best selling comics of all time. Like
It is the best selling of
Yeah.
these and the best selling creator owned comic of all time.
yes.
Issue one.
And I believe at the time it came out, it was the best selling comic of all time. And then when
No.
Jim Lee went back to X-Men, didn't
Nope. That all
Okay.
came first. All of the books that these guys did at Marvel before they
Mm.
jumped here were better selling than this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, I like it's something where you pick it up, you flip through it, and you understand why people were buying this book and like why it became like a cultural moment. Like I think that
Yeah.
every scene that Spawn is in is so exciting to look at. On the other hand, though, I do think that it is a little confusing in terms of plot. Like in terms of grander plot of the book. Like
A
I
little
don't know
bit, yeah.
if I don't know if I like picked this up and read it in 1992 if I would have been like, I feel like I want more because I feel like it's a lot of Spawn being like, I need to figure out what's going on. I don't have my memories. Who is this beautiful woman?
Yeah, and I think Todd overwrites his captions very much so. And we retread that same ground of I don't remember things. But I have this feeling of this one woman and I want her, and then like a lot of his like, you know, I don't know, progress through that is kind of like arbitrary. Like there's no tangible things that are kind of moving him through it.
Right. And it doesn't even feel like he's moving through it.
No.
It's just kind of happening to him, and like you said, getting retread. So I feel like this isn't a book that really made me want to pick up the next issue, which I think is a bummer because I think that it is like if I were to pick up Spawn #2 back in 1992, it'd definitely be because I was like, you know, I didn't understand the plot, but it was nice to look at.
I think it's in my opinion, it's the best look. I think Todd McFarlane, especially at this point in their careers, is the best artist of the Image Hat. I think Todd McFarlane is one of the best artists ever. Like his art is so gorgeous.
It's so dynamic. It's so energetic.
And like you said, he made this book very smartly. And I'm gonna talk about one of the people who I think is one of the best artists at one point here, who made a book that I do not think is leaning into his strengths. But Todd knew what he was doing and making a book that let him do his best stuff. And so yeah, I think like this is, in my opinion, the most iconic character out of this, the best looking book, but it maybe falls in the middle or worse half of the writing, which when the writing is already, you know, but
not
that's
the top tier.
Yeah. I think especially I think it lands with I think Spawn is mainstream darling, in my opinion.
I agree wholeheartedly. We were talking about these tiers, and Jay was like, yeah, that one fits with what book I want to put there. And I was like, okay, I think we agree about that book.
Yeah. But we're going to get to the book where we've actually read the entire first volume together on this podcast. So you can go check that out. But Katie, do you actually I don't remember who did the last one.
I believe it's your turn.
All right,
Talk to us about Erik Larsen.
Yeah, this is Erik Larsen's Savage Dragon. The book that we launched after only 3 issues. This is a very action heavy, I think, a book, and another one of the most successful Image books. This is the only other one that is still going, I guess technically not on this numbering because it got renumbered after 3, but it's still going on its first ongoing series to this day. And the only one where, you know, the purpose of Image is still being, you know, kept through Erik Larsen is still writing and drawing this book to this day. But yeah, Savage Dragon. This is
also, you know, if we're talking about like the kind of concept of Image, he's also one of the people who really likes to lend his character out.
Oh yeah, he loves that shit, man. He loves the freaking crossovers that make no sense, and his character just kind of pops up in places, which is very entertaining. But yeah, so Savage Dragon. Do you want to start here? Do you want me to start with this one?
Yeah, I can talk about Savage
Yeah.
Dragon. So I feel like I'm a little biased towards Savage Dragon because, as you mentioned, we have read more of it, but I just think it's so good and fun.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
agree.
is exactly what I want to read when I think about like the things that I think are the best stuff from comics in the 90s. It's
Yes.
like big, it's dramatic. At one point, Savage Dragon just like shows up in a scene covered in bandoliers of bullets, of aviators and two giant
Yeah,
guns. I'm like,
and you
you
get
know
that like
what?
iconic '90s, I think, comic book shot with the two guns, and then you have the street, like the beams of the.
So good. Like it's exactly what I'm looking for with this type of book. And I actually think that it's really phenomenally drawn. Like I
Yeah,
know that obviously all of the Image Boys are, you know,
great
art
art.
is their whole thing.
Yeah,
But I really love the way that Savage Dragon looks. I think that yet another like great character design.
yeah,
Um, and I actually think that because we're looking at two characters with Savage Dragon with Spawn who have this amnesia thing going on, and I feel like Savage Dragons is so much more palatable to me
yeah,
because it's not all that he's thinking about, and it's not like something that we get really bogged down in. Like
yeah,
it's established, it is the case, but then you get story outside of it being the case. Like
yeah.
the
I
with
think it's very different angles where Spawn,
Mhm.
the amnesia is actually like the plot. And as
Yeah,
somebody so far, it is very quickly like gone. You know, like
yeah.
it very quickly is like, oh, now he knows what's going on. A few issues later.
Mhm.
Savage Dragon. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think he ever gets his memories back. Like, I think that it is
Honestly,
basically just
baller move.
set up for so we don't have to know his origin and we can just like do Savage Dragon things. Which is a very different angle. But like you said, I think because the amnesia plotlines aren't the most interesting, I think that that actually is an interesting way to do it. Where it's like he doesn't know who he is before. He doesn't know if he was a good guy or a bad guy. He doesn't know how he used his powers, but he knows that he wants to be a good guy now. So like it doesn't really matter, and he just moves forward being a good guy. And I think that's kind of a really rad setup.
I fully agree, and I think one of the things that I like the best about specifically issue 1 is that it does feel like an issue that's setting up a series. Like
Yeah,
you go from him not wanting to be involved in anything. He's like, "No, I'm just going to kind of like try to figure stuff out," to him having this, you know, tragedy and his job getting blown up and getting, you know, attacked by these supers, and he's like, no, actually I want to get involved, I want to be a good guy. So
yeah.
I feel like he had the strongest characterization for me across all of these books personally.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a very fair assessment. There's one other character that I think has fairly decent characterization. But I'm yeah, pretty much agree
That's
with
fair.
you.
I might know the one you're talking about, and it might be that I just did not like his characterization.
No, I don't think that you actually are on the same one there.
Maybe not then.
Interesting.
But
But yeah,
Jay, do you have
this
overall thoughts about Savage Dragon that you want to share?
I think both in the first issue and through like the ones that I have read more of, I do think Savage Dragon is the strongest early wise of the
Mhm.
Image books. I think early Savage Dragon is the best of the Image book, in
And
my
that's
opinion.
what we care about right now.
Yeah. Which is
So
also
I am happy to make Savage Dragon Mr.
it's
Image.
very funny for me that we have anointed Mr. Image the one character that existed before Image. Out of
You know what? We love this for him.
uh,
I'm also really delighted because we're at our halfway point now. You know, a little
yes.
bit before the halfway
Yeah,
point.
we have the extremes filled.
We have the extremes filled, and we've had all the same opinion thus far. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for in the middle here
I
how
think it's
that's
gonna
going to
get a lot
change, how that's
more.
going to
I think it's
shake
gonna
out.
get a lot more. I think there's a lot more room for there to maybe be disagreement now.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get here over to. Oh no, it's your turn. You tell us what.
Actually, it's your turn. I did Spawn and Savage Dragon. We're going to be talking about Jim Lee's Wildcats. Jay, tell us about Wildcats.
I meant for the actually like
Ah,
saying
gotcha.
who it was. Yeah. I'll talk about Wildcats. This is bad.
Mhm.
Which is like shocking to me because it's Jim Lee.
Yeah.
And yet, I think it's one of the worst looking books out of these. I don't
I would
think
agree
Jim
with
Lee,
that.
like, wrote for his own strengths, drawing-wise. Like, he did not write a book that could be carried by art. Like, there's a lot of talking in this issue. It's a lot of just, like, close-up faces. I think it is the worst offender of generic-looking characters.
Mhm.
I don't think, really, particularly, any of the characters were super interesting to me. It's, like, kind of just generic everything, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a wee bit rough to me. It's about this dude named Jacob, I think Marlowe, or was it
Marlowe.
Marlowe? Okay. Who was basically told, like, you're special. And and that somehow, like, turns, we jump over it so we don't actually see how, but it, like, turns around his life in 2 years because he was, like, a homeless dude. And then he's like, now he's, like, super successful after
Well,
that.
you got to keep in mind that it actually doesn't start with that. It starts with scientists finding an orb, and then it cuts to Marlowe as
There's so much cutting.
There's so much cutting, and there's so much out of order stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the way it jumps
And
around
then-
on its own timeline, all in one issue, is insane. It made me feel insane reading it.
I had basically no idea what was going on for so much of it. And then he basically builds a team of, like, these special people, but the ones that aren't as good as Youngblood. But he mentions that he probably could afford Youngblood, so why he didn't just, buy Youngblood, who the hell knows? And so he has, like, a little team, and they have to, like, I don't know, stop the really bad super people that are coming. I think there's, like, an extraterrestrial thing to it.
There are so many groups in this.
Yeah.
And, like, I never feel like I have an actual beat on, like,
What's going on?
'cause exactly, it's so
and yet it's
funky.
all talking too. Like, it's
Yeah.
wild.
Like, it's so much explaining but not explaining, because then there's also, I was just double checking myself, this is also the issue where Grifter comes in, but he's not a part of...
No, it's shocking because he's, like, I think the most popular Wildcat when you, like, look at it now. So it's wild to me that
Yeah.
he, like, wasn't a part of them, but he was, like, maybe a bad guy, but then he seemed to betray the bad guys, so he's, like, not really a
Yeah,
bad
he
guy.
seems to be working with somebody else, and it's unclear what allegiance everyone has. It was so funky.
And it's wild because, like, if you like, move out of the Image books and just, like, tell me what you think of the Image Founders. I tell you, Todd McFarlane's the best artist, and Jim Lee's the second best artist, would be my opinion. If I had just read
Honestly,
these books...
mine might even be swapped.
Yeah,
Like,
if I had just read
agree
these
with you.
books, I would sit here and I would say to you, I think Jim Lee is the second worst artist of the Image Founders. Because
Like,
this book
just
doesn't
looking at
look
these
good.
books, yeah. Yeah.
And I've read Jim Lee work from before this that does look good. So it's not like, oh, he just got better. And I do think he's gotten, like, I think I like his, like, kind of not quite modern style, his, like, early 2000 style.
His odd style,
Maybe, yeah, a bit more. But, like, this just doesn't look good. It looks so
No.
generic.
Yeah, it looks generic, and I feel like it is often, like, and maybe this goes along with generic, but especially coming off of, like, a book like Spawn, it looks so unenergetic.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of the Image boys do a great job with, like, kind of breaking format and making really interesting looking pages. And with Jim Lee's, I'm just like, okay, this feels like the most just paneled thing I've seen in my life.
Yeah, it's not really the vibe of a lot of these books, which is, like, rough because Jim Lee is not a better writer than the rest of these guys.
Nope.
And he is, though, maybe the least trying to lean into his art skills to carry the book, which is...
And he also had a co-writer on these, I believe.
Did he?
Yeah,
I didn't
Brandon
remember if he was
Choi.
one of them. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I know a couple of them had, like, writers to help out.
Yeah. But yeah, this was... It just didn't work.
On
And
any
that's
level.
such a bummer.
Yeah.
But despite that, I would actually not put it in the Leave It in the 90s category.
Really? I am
would put
fully...
it in the Go Back to Marvel category.
I'm fully in the Leave It in the 90s here. I'm happy to put it in the go back to Marvel before we discuss the book that
Yes,
you
yeah,
think
I was
should be
gonna say,
beneath it.
but until we get to debate,
Yeah, well, we'll put it there. But yeah, I do think it's the second worst book of the bunch. I don't think it
that's
has many
very
redeeming
fair. Like,
qualities
I think it's
aside
the
from like
third worst book of the bunch.
I like the not the like general premise because I feel like the general premise of of Wildcats, sorry, they are very similar. No, is very like not that interesting, but I feel like the specific thing on Jacob Marlowe of like, oh, you're being told that you're this like super important dude with power and you don't know, like I feel like that I like that thing where it's like, oh, somebody who seems so important tells you that you're actually even more important. Like I like those setups, those like kind of chosen one-y setups. That's something that I very much enjoy. But the book doesn't really lean into it. We just kind of
No.
jump to him then being like a successful businessman, and it's like, oh.
And it's like, what the fuck? And I
But
feel like
that's the one redeeming
there was
thing I think it has. But like,
potential
that's kind of
for
cool.
a really good relationship between him and the orb lady.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forget her name. Like, if it's like, oh yeah, this very important superpowered being is saying that you're this like super important person. If you're like a scummy businessman
Yeah.
and you're just like kind of leaning into that side of it, I feel like that could be a really interesting dynamic. Where it's like you're supposed to
I
be
also
this
really
big
like his
hero.
character design. I want to throw out there. I feel like him and
Yeah, yeah.
Grifter have really good character designs,
I mean,
and then the rest
Grifter
of the team.
is great.
Grifter's amazing, but
You
the
gotta
actual
love
like
Grifter.
Wildcats team we get in this book, their designs are
Not
so bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have more.
Yes.
We're going over to Shadowhawk now.
That's right.
From
Jim Valentino.
Jim Valentino's book. So yeah, Shadowhawk. He did not have a co-writer, I don't think. I'm looking.
No, he did not.
No.
Adorably though, I believe his wife did the lettering.
Very cool.
And I think that that's like a thing in Jim Valentino books. Like I think that he and his wife work on a lot of books together, which is very
nice. But yeah, this is the book with I think like the one of the least fondly remembered covers ever because it's like super hard to make out anything on this book's cover.
Yeah. I thought this book was terrible. I'm gonna just come right out and say it.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was terrible. I thought it was cringe. I thought that it was, and like not in a you're trying too hard way, but in like a you have written a character who is cringe, and I feel like this might be my stylistically least favorite art. Like I think that a lot of times it looks incredibly amateurish, which is wild about like an Image Founder. I think that the captions were terrible. Like and I think that the premise of it is also really boring. Like I don't feel like any sort of
if
connection.
Batman had Wolverine's like, I don't know, like temperament for criminals, I guess, is what it feels like this book is.
And it doesn't feel like it goes beyond that at all. I don't feel like there's like any characterization for Shadowhawk, which maybe it comes later, but it's your first fucking issue.
He hates hoodlums.
He hates hoodlums, and he wants to break all of their spines.
That's like the whole thing. He tells you that constantly throughout the book, Katie. How could you think he doesn't have characterization?
Yeah, I think that he's ugly. I think he's uninteresting, and I think that he's poorly written. And in case it wasn't clear, this is the one that I think should be left in the 90s.
I don't disagree with any of that, but can I give you my pitch as to why I think it's better than Wildcats?
Sure.
It at least has action. That is basically it. At least he tried to use his art to do things, and like he has big pages of big character things. At least that, and that to me makes it better than Wildcats close-ups, and also it's a faster read. And so when you're just enjoying both of them,
you're done with it sooner.
Yeah, you're done with it sooner than Wildcats. So I don't know, man. They are fairly close, but Wildcats had much less. Like, I feel like I came out of Wildcats going, I feel like there's nothing salvageable or like great about that other than like this slight premise and then this like side character that I know becomes important in the future. But at this point, this random side character seems cool. Shadowhawk, at least I was like, I feel like the design of the character is not awful. It could be cool if it was drawn in cool places, and it has some cool action stuff. So maybe if you had a different creative team, this could be good.
See, my problem with Shadowhawk, like in the Shadowhawk versus Wildcats thing, I came out of Wildcats. Like, I just wasted my time. This was like nothing. I
Yeah.
came out of Shadowhawk saying, man, I didn't like that.
I guess my thing, I maybe it was also an expectations thing, and like going into the Jim Lee book, I was like, at least this is gonna be
That's fair.
gorgeous. And then I came out and I was like, why do you do anything cool, Jim Lee? Whereas at least like Jim Valentino, I was like, at least you did some cool stuff, and like at least there was some cool pages. Like that's what I like when I'm at a '90s Image book. That's what I feel like is the bare minimum. Like give me like a cool 2-page splash or something, you know?
See, I guess my problem is outside of, I think, like you're saying, there are a few cool pages. Like when the first time he gets shot in the chest, I think that's a good page.
I also like his
But
Shadowhawk rang. That's my one little thing. I like the Shadowhawk rang. It was so stupid looking and fun.
It's in the logo. It's his little
Yeah,
shuriken.
I liked it.
His little shadowkin.
Ugh.
I don't know. I just thought it was really ugly. Like, I feel so strongly that it was actively bad.
I'll give. I feel like this is one we're gonna be deadlocked on. I'll give it to you. But yeah, we're gonna jump to Cyberforce by
Yes.
Marc Silvestri.
Yeah. Jay and I were talking outside the pod about how we're like always shocked to remember that Cyberforce is like the founding book because there are so many more iconic Marc Silvestri characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is not one that I have had a lot of experience with because I feel like it's not one that it has a lot of like cultural sway anymore.
No, not at all. But
yeah.
I want to say, as somebody who hasn't read a ton of Silvestri, he's a damn good artist. Like,
and the thing is, we've talked about that before because we've noted that because we've done, I think, for our
he's also
Christmas
the one that most
and Halloween videos.
Yeah. I think it's also like the thing. If I'm not mistaken, it's the one where the Image founders have said they all agree that Marc Silvestri is the most technically like gifted of them, or like the most technically skilled artist out of them. And like, yeah,
yeah. That being said, I didn't find this particularly compelling. I think that a lot of the characters are fairly one note, which, you know, it's a first issue. Maybe that's not the worst thing in the world for like giving you kind of a shortcut to them, but I feel like they're one very loud note each.
Like, I like the dude with 3 arms on one side.
I was gonna say he's my fave.
He has such a good design. Like that's such a good look. I love that. The panel where he has like the 2 arms out blocking the it's
so good.
I was gonna say president. It's a mayor candidate, isn't it?
A mayor candidate. Yeah,
mayor candidate. Is a really good panel. I really like that. That looks real rad.
But yeah, I think that this is a book that did suffer for not telling me what was up, because they kind of just throw you in with the Cyberforce, and I'm like, I don't really know what's going on here. And so there's this good conflict between Ballistic and her team and Cyberforce and their team as they're chasing after this speedster. And I'm like, I like what's going on here, but I feel like I don't have all of the context that I need. Like, I don't really know what Cyberforce is. Full disclosure, I did also accidentally read the first issue of the ongoing series, because they renumbered them pretty hard out of nowhere. But I feel like throughout even both issues, I'm like, you're bringing up stuff about this world that it feels like I'm supposed to understand, but I have no context for, so I have no way of understanding it. And I would have liked a little bit more of the world building of this, because I think there is a really interesting divide going on between Cyberforce and I think Cyberdata is the other team, where it's like, oh, we get these cool little bits of lore about like the brain boxes, and there's like these little crumbs about like what is going on with Cyberdata. But I wish that we got a little more of that in the first issue to establish who Cyberforce is in reaction to them. So this is an issue where I just kind of wanted there to be a little bit more,
Yeah.
just in general.
I can see that for sure. Would I give this book respect to compared to Wildcats and Youngblood? Because there are 3 books attempting to do the same thing. Like, that's the truth, which is like such a weird thing to do, is, you know, but I guess they were a bunch of X-Men artists, and, you know, they all loved X-Men, and they all love team books, so we get a bunch of attempts to do like that kind of thing. Where this, I think, succeeds where the others failed, is that they actually like give a shit about the characters in this. Like, this is a character focused issue. Velocity is told, like, you're gonna be the important character in this issue, and we actually get to learn a little bit about Velocity compared to the other team books where it's like, here are a mishmash of characters doing things. It's like, no, here's Velocity. We're even gonna get a flashback to like Velocity as a kid, and then, you know, kind of through the thing, it's gonna be Velocity, you know, ending up with the Cyberforce. And I'm like, you know what? That is a decent enough through line that I can like enjoy the Great Silvestri artwork and like the character designs that I think are much stronger than the other 2 team book character designs. Because I think both Velocity and the 3-arm dude, or I guess 4-arm dude, but it's 3 on one side. I keep wanting to specify that because you think 2 and 2 when you think 4 arms.
But no,
I think they both have really rad character designs. And yeah, I feel like it definitely doesn't give you a ton of the world, but I feel like for a first issue, yes, I would have liked a little bit more, but I feel like and I didn't read a second first issue. I feel like maybe I'd be a little bit more frustrated if I did, but I didn't. It's enough where I'm like, okay, they're trying to like instill one of themselves as mayor, and there's a bunch of issues with that and all that. Like, there's enough here of the world where I'm like, I would probably give it a second issue and see, you know, how it was going. So out of my opinion, I think this is the 3rd best of the Image founder books.
We can put it up there. But that then takes us to the last book, which, you know, we'll have a small debate, because I kind of no dog in the fight. I think this one was the 3rd best, and I'll get into my reasons. But this is from Wilche. Oh man, I've forgotten his last name. Portacia, that's right.
He also a co-writer. Brandon Choi, I believe.
The same co-writer as Jim Lee.
Yeah, there you
go. But yeah, Jay, tell me what you thought of Wetworks.
Yeah, I will say I respect this for being the most different in like its attempt. Like, this is more, I think, of a G.I. Joe. I don't know G.I. Joe, but it feels like this is attempting to be G.I. Joe more than the other things are like attempting to be, you know,
X-Men.
like X-Men, and then Shadowhawk being Batman, and you know, Wolverine
and Spawn a little bit being Batman.
Oh, really? I think Spawn's more of like somewhere between Venom and Spider-Man with like a hell twist for some reason.
I mean, sure, fair.
And then Savage Dragon is, I don't know, maybe actually more of his own thing. Good job.
Good job, Savage Dragon.
But yeah, so this
You're
feels
telling
like
me you haven't seen an amnesiac man with a fin on his head before? Who goes to work for his local police department?
I haven't, shockingly. But yeah, this is more of a G.I. Joe thing. There's like a civil war in Transylvania, I believe, so they go in there, and then wildly it was not Todd McFarlane that had his characters immediately like get symbiotes. They get these like golden symbiotes, and then they fight the what are they called? The like Dark Brood or something like that.
Dark Tribe, I think.
Dark Tribe. And are they ever officially said to be vampires? Like, they're very clearly vampires.
They're very clearly vampires.
Officially called vampires in the book, and they fight them. I feel like, yes, premise-wise, this is maybe my 3rd favorite. The reason why I wouldn't put this as my 3rd favorite, both because I don't like the art quite as much as Silvestri, but
fair.
Mainly because I came out of this not caring about any of the characters. Like, they just felt like soldiers, and they were kind of all soldiers, and they kind of all got there, and they kind of all did things. Like, I didn't really feel like I could pick out any of them independently of each other. You know,
hey, that's was the woman.
Yeah, the one dude's name I did remember for a little bit because they like say Claymore? It very prolifically at one point. Which one?
Claymore?
No. We're gonna see now if I can find it here.
Jester?
No. Apparently you remember the names much better
I
than
do, because I actually really while you're looking for names, I actually really liked this issue. I think that
Sure.
the team of them was actually pretty distinct. I made a little joke about the woman, but she actually had like a set of skills. Like she was like the kind of recon lady. Claymore was like this kind of scientist guy. And I thought that the way in which they got the symbiotes was super fun. Like the fact that it happened kind of on accident, on the soldier's part to the
Yeah.
first guy, and then using that as the way to survive the explosives that they put out, I thought was really, really cool. And the sheer audacity to make it like, I don't know, superheroes versus vampires, really, I really respected that. Where I'm like, you know what? That's fucking ridiculous, and I'm here for it.
Fair enough. No, I could see that. It didn't super land for me. I also just wasn't the hugest fan of the artwork. I thought it was like solid enough, but I didn't think the character designs, even like with the I thought the symbiotes kind of looked boring.
That is
They
very,
just
very
kind of
fair.
all become gold, which is like,
Mhm.
not
Not
super
super
great character
exciting, no.
design. And yeah, I didn't personally connect to any of the characters. I like the kind of like almost like the serrated sword. I think that's fun. That's about it. Yeah, I didn't super connect with it. It might also be like I'm not the biggest fan of like I guess like the G.I. Joe thing where it's like not quite fully like war story, but not
Mhm.
fully superhero, like that kind of like super soldiery
Yeah,
type story. It's not my favorite thing.
that's
Doesn't
very
super
fair.
land for me. Yeah, I didn't love this. I do think there is in my mind a clear divide between like the bottom three and then
The top
I'd
4.
say yeah, the top four. Because again, this is much less generic, at least, which
Yeah,
is like I feel like the bottom three are just such generic. Like you left Marvel to do these books, like you should be doing something personal that feels super
right.
unique, and not something that kind of is just like generic superhero number 10. So
Exactly.
I give them I give Will Spataccio a lot of credit for doing something a little bit more unique here. But it didn't super work for me. Also, he took like 3 years to do it, which like you know
I won't hold that against him, but I will let it go to hire a writer.
uh,
You gave me Shadowhawk Feed left in the 90s, so I'll
yeah.
give you Cyberforce Speed
So
North
we
the
have
rest.
our full ranking, and
Do you want to take us through 'em, Jay?
I'd be very interested to hear what people think of this, honestly,
Yeah.
because I feel like there's certain things here that a lot of people will agree with, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's people who have a lot of nostalgia for Shadowhawk for whatever reason. I feel like I've definitely seen a lot of like
I think he's also shown up.
pushback.
He showed up in Local Man.
Yes, he did. He did show up in Local Man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of the '90s people have really like great nostalgia for Shadowhawk for whatever
Maybe it
reason.
got better.
Maybe it got better, but yeah. Okay, so at the top of the list, Mr. Image is Savage Dragon. Right below him, our
Eric
mainstream
Larson.
darling. Yes, Eric Larson. Great job. Our mainstream darling is Spawn by Todd McFarlane, of course. Worth the Risk, we put Cyberforce by Mark Silvestri. Hire a Writer is Wetworks by Will Spertaccio. Go Back to Marvel is Wildcats by Jim Lee. Leave It in the 90s is Jim Valentino's Shadowhawk. And Youngblood is Rob Liefeld's Youngblood. Yeah. Let us know. Would
Do
you
you
like to see
agree
us?
with our list?
Yeah.
Do you disagree? What else do you think we should add to this list? Do you want
Yeah.
us to keep going with just chronological image books? Do you
Like
want us to
Pit, the
look at
Max. We've already read the
Yeah.
Max.
have? Or do you want us to bring in some of the new talent, like what Kirkman and there have been plenty
Or
of
should
others.
we?
Ghost
Do you
Machine.
want to see us redo this and with like reading the first volumes or something, or reading the most recent issue of all the books or something like that? Like Youngblood just came back. I'm pretty sure they announced they're doing a new Cyberforce mini. I think so. A lot of the books are coming back, so I feel like we could definitely do a more modern,
Little
one.
pickup, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah,
Let us
us
know all of your thoughts down below.
and give us ideas for future tier lists because
That's
we know
right.
you like the tier lists and we love doing them for you. But as always, that's all we have for this week. So we'll see you next week. Comic Geeks.